She is 75 years old, but the moment you see her, you might think she is in her early 40s. Her skin is smooth, her posture is tall, and her eyes shine with peace. No surgery, no injections, no miracle creams, just a quiet, graceful life, shaped by wisdom that most of the modern world has forgotten. Her name is Ko Sato. She lives just outside of Osaka, Japan. She does not have a smartphone. She has never been on television. She lives in a traditional wooden home, tends her small garden, and still writes letters by hand. But what she carries within her, that calm, steady glow, is something we all long for, especially as we age. In America, we are taught to fight aging, to hide it, to rush through it. But Ko shows us something different. She shows us that aging is not something to fear. It is something to honor. She lives with intention. She moves with purpose. She eats with care. And most of all, she treats each moment as something sacred, not to be wasted or wished away. This is not just a story about beauty. This is about strength, resilience, and finding your own rhythm as the years go by. So, if you've ever looked in the mirror and wondered where your sparkle went, stay with me because Ko's story might help you find it again, not in a product, not in a trend, but in the life you already have. 1. A life of stillness in motion. Every morning, Kosato wakes up before the sun. She doesn't reach for a phone. She doesn't turn on the television. Instead, she opens the window, takes in a slow breath of fresh air, and listens. Just listens. To the wind brushing against the bamboo, to the birds singing their gentle songs, to the stillness that modern life too often drowns out. She lights a stick of incense and boils water for tea. Her movements are quiet, deliberate, and unhurried. In her words, "If I rush, I miss the beauty, and when you miss beauty, you grow old faster." For Ko, the first hour of the day is sacred. She believes that how you begin the day shapes everything that follows. So she begins with presence, not productivity. She writes a few lines in her journal, sometimes a memory, sometimes a prayer. Then she tidies her home, not to clean, but to care. She folds her linens like she's tucking in an old friend. She arranges fresh flowers, even if no one will see them but her. She says, "The world outside is fast and noisy, so I keep my home like a temple, calm, clear, alive." Ko's daily life is filled with movement, but none of it is rushed. She walks to the market with a woven basket. She squats to pick herbs in her garden. She kneels to light a candle in the family altar. These are not chores to her. They are expressions of respect for her body, for her ancestors, and for the present moment. And what's remarkable is not just that she does these things, but how she does them. With ease, with grace, with a kind of quiet dignity that makes you feel like youth is not a time in life, but a way of being. She does not go to the gym. She does not do yoga videos or track her steps. But her movements, small, fluid, intentional, keep her spine straight and her joints strong. At 75, she still climbs stairs without effort. She still balances easily on one leg while watering her plants. And most of all, she still feels at home in her body. "If you want to stay young," she told me, "don't try to look young. Just try to stay soft. In your steps, in your breath, in your thoughts." It's not just physical, it's spiritual. Ko believes that motion without awareness ages the soul. But even the simplest acts, done slowly and with care, can keep your spirit young. 2. The nourishment ritual. Ko's kitchen is small. There is no microwave, no fancy appliances, just a gas stove, a wooden cutting board, a few handmade bowls, and ingredients that were grown close to home. But in that little kitchen, something magical happens every day. She nourishes not just her body, but her mind, her heart, and her spirit. Ko believes food should be prepared with presence, served with gratitude, and eaten without distractions. She eats all her meals at the table. No television, no phone. Just the sound of chopsticks tapping against ceramic, the smell of miso, and the occasional rustle of a newspaper. Every morning, she begins with what she calls a grounding meal, a small bowl of mixed grains, brown rice, black rice, and barley, steamed slowly. A piece of grilled mackerel, light miso soup with seaweed and tofu, and a few seasonal vegetables, often steamed, never overcooked, dressed with sesame or a drop of soy sauce. You won't find processed snacks, sugary cereals, or frozen meals in Ko's pantry, but what you will find is a deep respect for balance. Her meals are never too heavy, never too rich, and always thoughtfully portioned. She follows a principle called hara hachi bu. Eat until you're about 80% full, not to diet, not to control weight, but to feel light, focused, and at ease. She says, when your stomach is calm, your mind is clear. Ko's diet is deeply traditional, yet modern science is only now catching up to its wisdom. Fermented foods like miso, natto, and pickled radish support her gut health. Omega-3 rich fish support her brain and skin. And fiber from vegetables keeps her digestion regular and strong. But for Ko, it's not just what you eat, it's how you eat. She blesses every meal with the word itadakimasu, which means, I humbly receive. It's not just a habit, it's a moment of reverence for the farmers, the earth, and the life that now sustains her. Even her treats are thoughtful. No candy bars, no soda, just a piece of wagashi, a handmade sweet with red bean and rice, served with warm matcha tea. She eats it slowly, appreciating every bite, because in her words, sweetness is meant to be savored, not swallowed. She doesn't count calories, she doesn't fear carbs. She listens to her body like an old friend, and maybe that's the greatest secret of all. Not a superfood, not a trendy diet, but a quiet relationship with food that honors life itself. Ko once said to me, in the West, people think health is a fight. In Japan, it's a form of gratitude. 3. Moving with grace, not strain. Ko Sato does not have a gym membership. She has never owned a fitness tracker. She does not lift weights, count reps, or follow a structured workout routine. And yet, at 75 years old, her body is strong, her posture is upright, and she moves through life with remarkable ease. The secret, she says, is simple. I move because I'm alive, not because I'm trying to prove anything. From the moment she wakes up to the time she prepares for sleep, Ko's life is filled with gentle, consistent motion. She does not sit still for hours at a time. Instead, she allows her body to flow through her daily rhythms, cleaning, walking, reaching, stretching, bending, all done with presence and care. Each morning, after finishing her tea, Ko walks outside, not to power walk or break a sweat, but to feel the earth beneath her feet and to greet the day. Her steps are steady, unhurried, and grounded. She walks through her neighborhood, often pausing to observe the trees, listen to the wind, or simply smile at a passing neighbor. It's not exercise, it's ritual. It's connection. She told me once, still water becomes stagnant, the body is the same. Ko walks about 30 to 40 minutes every day. It clears her mind and keeps her joints fluid. But even more than that, it's a way to be present in her body, to feel her breath, to notice the changing seasons, to give her day a gentle rhythm. In addition to walking, she also stretches twice a day. Nothing extreme, no fancy poses, just a short, quiet routine. Arms overhead, gentle twists, shoulder rolls, and hip openers. These movements were passed down from her mother, and her mother before that. They resemble ancient Japanese warm-ups known as do-in, a self-healing practice that encourages awareness of the body's energy. Ko believes flexibility and balance are more important than strength alone. She says, muscles don't protect you from falling. Awareness does. That's why she squats instead of bending at the waist. She kneels while gardening, using her full body. She often walks barefoot inside the house, believing it keeps her feet strong and her posture aligned. And speaking of posture, this might be Ko's most powerful physical habit of all. She carries herself with the grace of a dancer, shoulders gently back, chin lifted, spine long. Whether she is sweeping the floor or sipping tea, Ko's alignment is intentional. She once told me, "How you carry your body is how you carry your life." That posture, she says, is not just about elegance. It improves her breathing. It supports digestion. It keeps her energy flowing. And most of all, it reminds her of who she is. A woman who honors her body, even as it changes with age. Ko does not fear aging, but she respects it. She adapts, listens, and adjusts. She no longer lifts heavy baskets or rushes to do too much in one day, but she remains active, engaged, and mobile. Not because of some strict routine, but because movement is built into the fabric of her life. She once smiled and said, "You do not need to run marathons to stay young. You just need to keep moving with love." And that's exactly what she does, every single day. 4. The glow that comes from within. When you look at Kosato's face, the first thing you notice is not just her smooth skin or the softness in her features. It's the feeling she gives off, a kind of quiet radiance. It's not the kind of glow that comes from makeup or lighting. It's something deeper, something earned. Ko has never believed in chasing beauty. She believes in honoring it, gently, patiently, and from the inside out. Her skincare routine is as simple as her way of life, yet it holds a kind of sacred rhythm passed down through generations of women before her. Every morning and every night, she follows the same gentle steps. First, she cleanses her face with lukewarm water and a mild rice bran cleanser. No scrubbing, no foaming soaps, just slow, circular motions with her fingertips, never with a cloth, never with force. She says, "My skin is not something to scrub, it's something to thank." Next, she applies a homemade toner, usually green tea or rice water, patted gently into the skin with her hands. She never uses cotton pads. She believes the hands carry energy. And when she touches her face, she does so mindfully, almost like a prayer. Her moisturizer is equally simple. A few drops of camellia oil, warmed between her palms and pressed into her cheeks and forehead. Always pressing, never rubbing, and always while breathing deeply. She told me, "If the heart is tense, the skin will follow." Ko also drinks plenty of warm water and herbal teas throughout the day. Never cold, never iced. She believes hydration is not just what you put on your skin, it's what you live with. Calm digestion, calm breath, calm mind. And that calm, it shows. Her skin is not porcelain. It is not flawless in the way magazines describe. It is soft, luminous, and full of life. It tells a story, not of perfection, but of peace. Ko has worn sun protection since she was in her 20s. Not thick makeup or high SPF chemicals. Just a light barrier cream, a wide-brimmed hat, and the simple wisdom of shade and timing. She avoids direct sunlight during peak hours. She wears gloves when gardening, not to hide her hands, but to honor them. Our hands, she says, tell the truth about our age, so I treat mine like old friends. I don't overwork them. She brushes her silver hair 100 strokes each night with a wooden comb, not to style it, but to stimulate her scalp, to spread natural oils, and to thank her body for another day. And once or twice a week, Ko takes what she calls a restoration bath. A warm soak in deep water with a few slices of yuzu peel or a handful of Epsom salts. She never rushes the bath. She never takes it while distracted. It is a full-body ritual of release and renewal. She says, "When I bathe, I don't just wash the dirt off my skin. I wash the noise out of my soul." Ko doesn't follow beauty trends. She doesn't chase youth. She simply treats her body with respect, and that respect has become visible in the softness of her eyes, the smoothness of her skin, and the gentleness of her presence. She once looked at me and said, "If you want to look younger at 75, don't ask what cream to buy. Ask how gently you live. Ask how kindly you speak to yourself when you're alone." Because Ko believes beauty is not something you create. It is something you uncover by living slowly, lovingly, and without apology. 5. Love, loss, and letters that never stop. Ko Sato was married for 33 years. Her husband, Hiroshi, was a civil engineer, quiet, kind, and deeply steady. They met in their 20s and built a life filled with books, morning walks, and the kind of silence that feels like safety. He passed away from cancer when Ko was 58. She doesn't often speak about the details of his illness. She does not relive the suffering. But when you sit with her, you feel the shape of the loss, not like a wound, but like a soft scar she has learned to carry with dignity. There are no framed wedding photos on the walls, no public displays of grief. But every Sunday morning, without fail, Ko writes Hiroshi a letter. She lights a small candle. She sits on a floor cushion near the family altar, and with a brush pen and cream-colored paper, she writes to him as if he were still sitting across from her, drinking tea, listening quietly. Sometimes she writes about the garden, sometimes about the children, sometimes just a few lines about missing his voice or the sound of his slippers on the floor. She keeps all the letters in a wooden box wrapped in cloth. On the front, written in her careful hand, is one phrase, proof of love. I asked her once why she still writes to him after all these years. She smiled and said, "Because love does not end when someone leaves the room. It just changes rooms." That is Ko's gift. She doesn't run from pain. She sits with it. She honors it. And slowly, she shapes it into something beautiful, a ritual, a rhythm, a kind of quiet companionship that continues long after the physical world has shifted. Grief, she believes, is not a thing to get over. It is a thing to grow around. After Hiroshi's death, Ko never remarried. She never tried to fill the space he left. Instead, she tended it like a garden, gently, patiently, with tears when needed and laughter when it returned. She still talks to him while cooking. She still remembers the jokes he used to tell when the children were small. And sometimes, when she walks through the old neighborhood, she pauses and listens, not to sounds, but to memories. Ko says that the key to surviving loss is not holding on tighter. It's learning how to let go more lovingly. Letting go of the expectation that life will go back to how it was. Letting go of the idea that healing has a deadline. Letting go of the fear that you are alone in your sorrow, because you are not. In fact, Ko believes that the more we speak of our grief, the more we realize how many people are quietly carrying their own. So, she writes, she tends her altar. She carries Hiroshi's memory, not as a burden, but as a companion. And she teaches the rest of us that love, even when it changes form, never truly ends. I may be old, she says softly, but I am still in love. And that, more than anything, is what keeps me alive. 6. A life with meaning, one gentle step at a time. Ko Sato never set out to be admired. She didn't try to look young, sound wise, or live in a way that would inspire others. She simply followed what felt true. And in doing so, she created a life full of quiet beauties and lasting meaning. At 75, she wakes up each day, not with urgency, but with intention. She doesn't rush into tasks or checklists. Instead, she begins with a moment of silence, a warm cup of tea, and one simple question. What small thing can I do today? With great care? Some days, it's watering the small bonsai she's been tending since her husband passed away. Other days, it's folding laundry while listening to old songs that remind her of childhood. Sometimes, it's as simple as writing a note to a friend who's recently lost someone, because she knows the weight of grief, and she knows that even one kind word can make that weight easier to carry. Ko believes in the sacredness of small things. She says, when you can no longer move fast, you begin to see how precious every step really is. She has what the Japanese call ikigai, a reason to wake up in the morning. For Ko, it's not tied to success, ambition, or achievements. Her purpose is woven into the fabric of her daily life, through simplicity, connection, and gentle acts of care. But Ko's sense of meaning doesn't come from solitude alone. It is deeply rooted in community, in something the Okinawans call moai, a lifelong group of friends who commit to supporting each other emotionally, practically, and spiritually throughout their lives. Ko has been part of her moai for more than 40 years. They've shared meals and milestones. They've supported each other through births, deaths, illnesses, and everyday struggles. They meet regularly, sometimes just to walk, sometimes just to sit. No special occasion, no performance, just presence. And in that presence is a kind of medicine most of the world has forgotten. Studies show that strong social bonds can dramatically reduce the risk of depression, heart disease, memory loss, and even early death. But Ko doesn't need science to tell her that. She feels it in her bones. The strength that comes from being seen, heard, and loved without judgment. She says, when you are deeply connected, you age differently. You age with support. But what if you're watching this and thinking, I don't have a moai, I don't have a close circle? Ko would gently remind you, a circle doesn't have to be large, it only has to be true. Start with one person, one phone call, one handwritten note. Reach out, reconnect. Be the one who opens the door. You might be surprised by how many people are waiting to walk through it. Beyond community, Ko's sense of purpose is also rooted in ritual. She believes that when life feels overwhelming, the best thing to do is return to something small, something you can control with grace. Light a candle at the same time each evening. Sweep the floor slowly, as if preparing your home for a guest you love. Arrange a bowl of fruit like it matters, because it does. These tiny acts may seem meaningless to others, but for Ko, they are the scaffolding of her peace. She told me once, rituals protect the spirit. They remind you that even when the world outside feels noisy and chaotic, your inner world can still be calm. And if there is one message Ko would want to leave with anyone listening, especially women who feel like they've been forgotten by the world, it's this: you are not done. Your story isn't over. The chapter you're in may feel quieter, slower, less visible, but it may also be the most meaningful chapter you've ever written. You don't need to reinvent your life. You don't need to chase youth or force yourself to fit into a world that doesn't always see you. You only need to come back to what matters: your body, your breath, your friendships, your moments of joy. So here is what Ko would offer you as a gentle guide for the days ahead. Wake up slowly. Let your first breath of the day be filled with gratitude, not obligation. Eat with peace. Taste your food. Bless the hands that prepared it, even if they were your own. Move gently. Walk not to reach a goal, but to feel the gift of motion. Connect often. Call someone just to say, I was thinking of you. Create ritual. Fold your towels with care. Water your plants like they are friends. Speak kindly, especially when you talk to yourself. Let go. not of your memories, but of the shame or pressure to be someone else. Look for beauty. It's still here, in your hands, in your stories, in the way the sun hits your kitchen counter. Kosato has shown us that aging is not something to resist. It's something to honor. And when you do that, when you slow down, reconnect, and live with intention, you may just discover that the most radiant version of yourself has been here all along, not in the mirror, not in the past, but in the gentle way you choose to live today. If Ko's story touched something in your heart, if it reminded you of a simpler time, or made you breathe just a little deeper, then I invite you to hold on to that feeling. Don't let it fade, because the peace you're looking for, the beauty, the connection, the meaning, it isn't far away. It's already here. Inside your kitchen, in your walk around the block, in the way you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. You don't have to change your life overnight. Just begin with one gentle thing, done with great care. And if this story meant something to you, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel, not just for more videos, but to remind yourself that you are not alone, that there is a community here of women and men who are growing older not with fear, but with grace, purpose, and strength. Leave a comment. Tell us what part of Ko's story stayed with you. And if there's someone you love, someone who might need a little hope today, send this video their way. Let it be the quiet nudge that reminds them, you are still growing, you are still needed, and the most beautiful version of your life might be just beginning. Thank you for being here. You are deeply, truly seen. Until next time, stay well and keep living gently.